Dear chess friends, welcome to Yazarov Chess channel and welcome to a new and spectacular but also brutal gameplay by the latest version of Stockfish, the monster Stockfish 16. Today we see the fish battling it out against a lower rated engine Akimbo in an amazing Nimzowitsch defense, but this game shows, I think, a certain problem that I think could bother also beginners when you start to play chess. Today we see the fish punishing the lack of development in chess, and how Stockfish is doing that is really crazy. I've seen many times the lack of development in chess, but I've never seen such a brutal, aggressive play against these types of problems in an early stage of the game. So in my opinion, really crazy attack here by Stockfish 16. And before we start to analyze the game, I wanted to point you out, like I already told you in my previous video that I published today, that I have a new YouTube chess channel. It's called Strategy and Tactics with Yazarov. It's a channel where I only publish my games. I will cover some games that I play online, and also I will maybe do some analysis of my games, because I think I can explain some good openings for you, especially with the black pieces. I think you can have a decent preparation against e4 and c4, of course against d4. So the link to my new channel is in the description below. Please check it out. Maybe you can subscribe to my channel and follow some of my games. So let's start now with this beautiful sharp attack by the fish with the white pieces. Stockfish 16 open with the move e4. Akimbo's response was knight to c6, the Nimzowitsch defense, and usually you continue with d4, knight to f3, bishop to b5 are good lines. So these are possible continuations, but in move 2 Stockfish already plays a certain theoretical novelty, h3. This move is actually after move d5, which becomes now I would say a sideline of the Scandinavian defense. Now after move d5, usually you are bothered in some lines by the move bishop to g4 by black. So when you play knight to f3, then bishop to g4 is coming out, queen to d7, and then queenside castling in some lines is a good solid continuation for black. But with this calm move h3, Stockfish prevented that, prevents the potential bishop to g4 move. Here we have e takes d5 by Stockfish, queen to d5 by Akimbo. Stockfish continues with knight to f3, and Akimbo delivers a check with queen to e4. Of course, here black is hoping to simplify the game by trading off the queens. Then the game is not so complicated. Stockfish is of course not allowing that, plays now the move bishop to e2. Akimbo continues with queen to g6, hits simply the g2 pawn, but you can guess what happens. Stockfish simply ignores this move, plays simply normal development here with the move d4. Akimbo accepts the challenge. We have queen takes g2, Stockfish plays rook to g1, queen to h3, so Stockfish lost now 2 pawns in the opening stage, but we can feel really there is a certain lack of development, especially because of this move now, d5. This is the way to go. Look at this. After knight to d8, all of the minor pieces and the king are stuck on the back rank. The only piece that's out is the queen on h3, and the queen is endangered. Meanwhile, Stockfish has developed already the rook, has also the knight out, bishop on e2 is also perfectly fine, and the bishop on c1, although it didn't play so far, has a decent activity because it's hitting the long diagonal here on this side of the board. So really we should not always count pawns. I lost a pawn and okay, it's bad. No, look at this. We should really evaluate here the lack of development by black, but also the activity here of white pieces. Very crazy line here by Stockfish. Knight to c3, of course, normal development. Really nice move, supports of course the d5 pawn, and the d5 pawn gives also here white a certain space advantage. We have c6. Now Akimbo is trying to break this space advantage by white. Stockfish continues with bishop to f1. Again, a new attacking move, which again forces black to react. We have queen to f5. We have rook to g5. New activity by the rook. Queen drops back to d7. Again, I'm pointing out now the position is even worse. Still, the minor pieces are on the back rank. The knight is even on a stranger square on d8, and now the queen is even pushed away to the passive square, I would say d7. So this is, I think, the perfect compensation for the lost 2 pawns by white in the beginning. We have knight to e5. Stockfish plays another attack. Look at this, a new tempo against the queen. Again, I'm pointing out all of these pieces are stuck on the back rank. We have queen to d6. Stockfish plays a new attack against the queen. What should you do? If you play here queen to c7, this wasn't played in the game. In the game, queen to h2 was played. If you play queen to c7, then the queen is coming actively into the game. There is a certain problem around the square f7. There is also a problem around the square c6. You could maybe try knight to f6 to bring finally new pieces into the game. But now look at this. Bishop to f4. You have to again step back. Now we attack the queen. Now we play knight to c6. You have only maybe this square. Knight to a4 even traps the queen. So really already tricky stuff can happen if you don't react correctly. Really crazy attack by the fish. So after knight to c4, that's why we saw queen to c7 is not working. Queen to h2 was played by Akimbo. Stockfish continues with rook to e5, another spectacular move, which is not allowing here maybe also black to play the move g6. This would be, I think, a decent continuation if no tactics were possible by white. You want, of course, to bring a new piece into the defense, but this move is not working because of knight to d6. You cannot take, of course, because of the activity by the rook. You have to play king to d7, then something like, I don't know, d takes c6, knight to c6, discover check. You maybe go here, and in some lines you can get even checkmated here by the knights and queens activity. So this is, of course, one possible line. There are possible sidelines, but I wanted to point you out how really dirty and really brutal this attack here by Stockfish is. So that's why for rook to e5 we see this is already very dangerous against the king on e8. That's why e6 here. Akimbo is trying somehow to lock the e-file. Stockfish continues now with queen to f3. Prepares also the potential bishop to f4 move. For instance, if you try here c takes d5, then knight to d5, again with some ideas to maybe play a fork here on c7. You can maybe try bishop to e7. Now we even take out the bishop. We don't want to go for the rook. After knight to e7, bishop to f4, for instance, queen to h4, bishop to g5. Where are you going to go with the queen? If you go to d4, then rook to d1 is actually trapping the queen. So again, the queen gets exposed. That's the beauty about this two pawns that Stockfish sacrificed, but had a beautiful activity all over the board. For instance, you retreat here after bishop to g5 to h2, then queenside castling. You're trying maybe to castle, but then you lose here the knight on e7, so it's also not working. So you see, this is simply too much pressure to handle, but the main really threat is here the move bishop to f4. Akimbo continues with f5. We have bishop to f4 by Stockfish anyway, queen to h4, and now a calm but of course a new development move, queenside castle, which of course here after queenside castling, of course, Stockfish brings actually a new attacker into the game. The king is secured, but now the rook is on the optimal file, of course, on the d file. What should again black do? If you continue here with knight to f6, this again was not played in the game, but let's see how even natural normal development moves are not working anymore here for black. After knight to f6 we have d takes e6, knight to e6, and then we pick up the pawn on f5. You can maybe try g6, attack the rook, but now look at this, rook to e5 again, hitting the knight. You are trying maybe to develop a new minor piece, maybe secure the king by castling, but now with bishop to g5, this is simply too much to handle. Knight to g5, queen to f6, for instance, would come into the game. You're trying maybe bishop to e6, knight to d6. White would simply continue the attacking flow. Bishop to d6, rook to d6, and I think this is now finally game over. This one will be taken. I don't know. Many tactical opportunities are here for white. So that's why for queenside castling, Akimbo tried knight to h6, tried to keep somehow the knight connected here, but we saw knight to f6 was simply not working. Stockfish continues with d takes c6. What should black do again? If you continue with knight to c6, this again was not played. Seems natural that you again play with your knight like this, but now with knight to b5, you have to now step back with your king. We will retreat with the rook. You maybe play knight to g4. Now this knight is coming into the game. You take this other knight is coming into the game. You have to escape to g6. Even if you escape to g8, then something like knight to c8 could work. Rook to e6. The position is collapsing. Bishop to c4. Many again tactical opportunities. So after knight to d6, maybe you escape here to g6. Then with bishop to d3, you're maybe trying to attack the piece, but now look at this. Even bishop to e4 in some of these lines is working. You, for instance, take the piece, f takes e4, queen to e4, bishop to e5. You cannot take, of course, because the queen is hanging. You're trying to escape. Then queen to b4. So as I said, this is just again one potential line, but every line that I analyzed at home was simply too brutal to handle. handle here for black because of the piece activity. And even in this line, I'm pointing out again, these three pieces never really participated in the game. So after d takes c6, we saw now the analysis after knight takes c6. So here b takes c6 was played by akimbo. Stockfish continues now with a beautiful spectacular move, rook takes d8. Very wild tactic. If you play here queen to d8, then queen to c6 is winning the game, because you can maybe try king to f7. Now we play something like rook to e1 with some ideas to play knight to e5, or if you cover yourself here with bishop to d7, then rook takes e6 is working. Maybe bishop to e7 can be played. Now we take. If you take with the queen, then the rook is hanging. If you take with the king, then the queen comes with a check on dark squares. You have to again step back. Again, knight to e5 is coming. You have to step back. Look at this, knight to b5, bishop to b5, bishop to b5. Again, simply too brutal here to handle for black. Rook takes d8, a beautiful spectacular move here by Stockfish 16. So that's why king takes d8, but now the problem is this one, rook to e2 with the preparation to play rook to d2. We have bishop to d7 and after rook to d2 and king to e7. Actually, in this particular position, akimbo, this lower rated chess engine, simply resigned. So let's see options. What's the actual issue here? Of course, the engines are always evaluating the position in a certain way. Here the Stockfish engine gives a +5 evaluation in white's favor, but of course we want to see continuations. Why is this so? Because many of us, believe it or not, would even mess this up. Among them also me, probably in some games I messed up even better games. So let's see now really what would be now the optimal continuation here for white. Here after king to e7, as I said, in this particular position akimbo resigned. Now white would probably continue with bishop to g3. You have to step back with the queen. Again, maybe something like bishop to f4, but queen to e3 is actually the main problem with queen to c5 ideas. Look at this, or here queen to d4, building this battery on the d file. If you're protected, then bishop to d6 is coming, and now the queen is hanging here on the 4th rank. You can maybe try here, I don't know, after queen to d4, you can maybe try g5 to somehow keep your queen protected, but then you lose the bishop on d7. And again, with bishop to g3, you have to step back, rook to d1 with some discoveries as a possibility. So again, the position is simply collapsing here for black. Dark square problems all over the board. King is naked, so nothing to do here anymore for black. So great attack by the fish. Of course, this was a low-rated chess engine, fell for this, took these 2 pawns, but as I said, sometimes you will also play these types of games where you have a great activity and you don't know what to do. So that's why keeping the attacking flow, we saw, is very important. Keeping your opponent's pieces busy is also very important. Keeping them stuck, keeping them without activity, trying to, of course, undermine their activity all over the board, it's also very important. All of the amazing principles that we see of active chess, I think we have seen here by Stockfish 16. So great game. As I said, check out also my new YouTube chess channel, Strategy and Tactics with Yazarov. The link is again in the description below. If you want to see more beautiful, sharp attacking games like this, check out our commented chess games played by computer series. Here's the link of our playlist, and if you like this content, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. See you soon with some more videos, and what do we say in the end? Chess is the best, of course.